We're going live now.
Cool.
Give me 2 seconds. Okay, we're on. Hey everyone, welcome. It's Richard from BTFI. I just need to get back to my picture so I can actually see the man of the evening. There he is in all his glory. Hey Brandon, how you doing?
Very good, Rich. Nice to see you. Nice to be here on your incredible show, mate. Wicked.
Good to see you too. Thank you very much. It's good to have you on, everyone. I know we haven't seen you for a few weeks because we've been hanging out with orangutans and sun bears in Borneo, but we're back. We're well and truly back. And
wow, wicked. I love Borneo. Sun bears. How fantastic.
When did you go to Borneo?
No, I mean, I'm an animal lover. I love all the nature programs. I'm interested in world. I'm interested, I'd say, in world conservation. I'm not doing a lot about it at the moment, but it's on my goal map to be part of the WWF at some point. So,
well, you have to go because it's an extraordinary place, an extraordinary culture, and I was saying earlier on the test live about the flip side of the complete joy and bliss from the Malaysian people and how humble and gracious they are, coupled with the pain of the animals that have had many of them the most traumatic conditions and environment and upbringing, and it's tough stuff. Really, it kind of gets you, right?
It really does affect me when I hear about that stuff, unfortunately. But
So anyway, we're back with a big kickoff. We're very lucky to have Mr. Brandon Block with us. I think at the time that you were doing really cool DJ stuff, loads of people will know you. I was way too busy with my tap shoes on and my cane, probably dancing around my bedroom to things like Me and My Girl. And I missed out on that whole Ibiza club scene vibe. So whilst loads of people will know you, I wasn't getting down to the groove with your music, I have to say. I'm going to own that.
I'm very impressed that you learned tap. I love tap dancing. I used to dance, not tap, but we used to do like, I suppose we call it's the modern days of shuffle, but we used to sort of do this jazz type dancing, jazz funk dancing back way back. I still do a bit now, but my back's not what it used to be. But yeah, so I love tap. I love river dance. I love the Lord of the Dance and all that stuff. It's incredible. I suppose you can do all that, can you?
I can't say that I'm Michael Flatley, but I can still do a time step. But I used to lie every Friday night. I used to go to the village hall near where I lived, and I'd go and I put my lycra on, and I was the only boy in the group, and all my mates from school would hang out at the windows, and you'd see them peering in. They go, "What are you doing there, mate? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a bit like a five-a-side football thing. What, we're just one girls?" And every week I had to say that because I was too ashamed to say, "Yeah, I'm a tap dancer with my tap shoes on."
Do you know what though, mate? It's such a great thing to be able to do tap. I love it. I love the yeah. It's fantastic. Well done. I had no idea. That's brilliant. Really, really good.
Oh, there's loads of stuff you don't know, Brandon. Much of it you probably don't want to. So, well, look, I'm absolutely honoured to have you here. And for those of you that have tuned in, you'll know that in the last, certainly over the last month, we've just had Mental Health Awareness Month in May. In the BTFI group, at least, there's been a lot of talk about. We've talked about depression. We've talked about, how we need the need for us all to have a role in building good mind hygiene skills for ourselves, but for kids, this whole piece about we're great at getting children to brush their teeth and floss their teeth and wash their hands and kind of physical vessel hygiene, and we teach them virtually nothing about cleaning up their own thinking and how to be resilient in life and deal with the kickbacks and the shit stuff. And when you start to just even glance at mental health stats, it's shocking. And whilst it's explicit in some places, we see it in the news. Kate Spade this week, again, another soul we've lost to suicide. Whilst we see that, there's also a dark side of where we don't see a lot of what goes on. There's so much stuff behind the scenes. We never get to truly dig deep enough and have enough of a connection with people where we really see some of the tough stuff that they experience day to day. They gloss over, they make it okay, they have a facade, they wear their masks, and we're not always aware of the pain and the tough stuff. And I've got Brandon on tonight because, again, lots of people will know you for your music, for your DJing, for the tons of tunes you pushed out in your career. You're still, I know, kind of a bit of the king of Ibiza, really, aren't you? You are still.
I'm more like a pawn now, pawn of Ibiza, with many others. It's nice for you to say, but you know, I don't class myself as that. I mean, many years ago we had some fun there. Myself and Alex P had, yeah. I mean, it's been fantastic for many years in Ibiza, but you know, things move on, and you know, lots of new DJs coming through, and I go there once a week still now to this season, which is cool. But, you know, my life's changed a lot, and you know, that legacy is still great to be. I mean, I know everyone on the island, and if I walk around, I can sort of say hello to pretty much, you know, people in every town where I know and probably had fun with over the years. But you know, as he was talking about, you know, the more current stuff, and you know,
and lots of people, Brandon, won't know about the fact that you were kind of lying in a hospital bed with, you know, not a lot of time left to live, and out of somehow managed to get yourself out of that and transform your life, and here you are still with us, alive and kicking, and now pushing so much back into the planet around happiness, well-being, and basically being there as a bit of a rock for others that are managing some tough shit in their life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The thing for me was obviously, yeah, all them years ago when I was in drug hell, which it was, I was the options. I mean, I'm not sure aware, but you know, the options to use substances are the thing that I learned to do was to close those option doors so that they actually sort of wore out every single option. I mean, it's many years ago. It's 22 years ago now, so you know, I'm very grateful to be here still. But you know, back then it was difficult. There wasn't the knowledge or the awareness or the, you know, what was going on and all the stuff that's, you know, available now. You know, resources and, you know, people, support groups, support networks, the knowledge about you know, drug problems and life and social problems, and you know, the whole spectrum of what goes on in a holistic world. When you look at the whole of people's lives, you have to you have to look at it holistically. Basically, you know, each person has an individual journey, has an individual experience, which is suited. It happens for them, and the reasons it happens for them is because there's certain things that happen for them, and however they are you know, acting out with that experience, that's unique for them. So this is why it's such a very, very difficult thing to say treat. I don't mean treat. I believe it's just to help with, you know. I don't like the word treat because it's not treating anything. You're dealing with some problems which are caused by surroundings and you know, the environment and the associations and you know, the things that go on for people. So not about treating, more about helping, I suppose.
And I guess you know, you said then it's about the experiences that are around people. Actually, it's about, and because those experiences are still there for people, and actually more options. So the drug scene is probably bigger than ever. The types of drugs that are available to people, the type of alcoholic drugs that are available to people, and it's still surely about our choice with it and our responses to it, and what we choose to entertain and play with, and what we don't, what we resist.
I mean, yeah, but you know, you say resist. It's like. Personally, I think there's a lot. It's not as prevalent now. I've not seen as much where I go out or whatever. However, I mean, I'm not working in the field anymore. When I used to work in the field, it was a lot. I worked in, you know, with people who have drug and alcohol problems for many years, and also mental health and substance abuse and criminality and the whole spectrum of sort of how you would class or stereotypically generalize about people. This is the assumptions people make. But when I was working in the field, I was obviously aware of a lot more of the stuff that was going on. These legal highs were becoming very, very dangerous. A lot of the drugs that were out there were cut and mixed with other stuff, which is very dangerous. But you know, since and I learned, I knew about that stuff then. But I think the world is the trouble is, because of technology being moving so quickly and moving in any direction it wants, and you know, people can use it for any means or any media or any whatever it works for them. What my experience is, or what I've seen recently, is it shows, because of all the filters and all the everything looks great all the time. When people aren't literally feeling great, they see this stuff and it makes them feel worse, because that's the way it is, and there's a few videos I could recommend to people to watch just to get an idea of, how this stuff impacts on you. I think, it's, I think that the thing that's becoming good, and the awareness that people are finding, and we, obviously yourself, me and Happy Days and Neil and Michelle and all the people I do the Facebook stuff with, and a lot of people I'm friends with who are on Facebook doing their own pages or groups with working with this stuff. Everyone's everyone's joining, because at the end of the day we've been in an era of massive technological change and massive mental health impact. It's become a very, 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 very endemic or epidemic. Basically, it's a very big problem. Because, as you say, you don't necessarily have to experience anything to get depression or something. You can look at a phone for 10 minutes and you can become depressed.
Of course you can.
So I think, the fact that these groups are up and at them, or out and being used, is vital nowadays, because it's great to be able to use the technology the way it should be used, or can be used. Go on, sorry, mate.
You're right, and it's taking the message out to a lot more people than it ever would have done. Certainly 22 years ago. I met yesterday with James Scroggs, who's the chairman of CALM, which is the campaign against living miserably. So the whole one about masculinity and male suicide, and and we talked a lot about how the conversation now is much more actually in the middle of the table. And he said, groups of blokes down the pub drinking, they might not talk about feelings, but actually as soon as someone starts to talk about calm and that whole charitable piece and the masculinity and the shock of male suicide, actually it's almost become a vehicle for opening up people's conversation. He said, we're still only just starting to poke the box, really, with people beginning to feel vulnerable, prepared to feel vulnerable enough to even talk about this stuff. We can put it out there, to let alone admit something, but just have a conversation about it. I mean,
just from you speaking then, it resonates, because male suicide, that's got to be a very, I know it's the biggest in a certain age group. I think it's between 34 and 45 or something like that now.
Yeah, 84 men a week in this country.
Right. So this is. Look, men have always been. This is why the world's becoming a bit. The equality stuff, and men are supposed to be able to show their feelings, but then on the other side, the masculinity thing. We shouldn't be. We are the breadwinners, whatever. But a lot of this stuff is difficult to deal with. What I found is, obviously, Kelly was talking about doing the goal mapping stuff with Brian. I've done it, and what I found is that not loads, but a fair few of my friends have sort of recently contacted me and said, "Look, I'm not sure what's going on in my life at the moment. It's all around 50 something. There's a lot of maybe 40 to 50, and getting to a stage where they may not have achieved what they wanted to through whatever reasons. Maybe they're feeling a bit, what's left for me in life." But, I've noticed more of that more recently, that people have come and saying, "Look, how do we change? How do I achieve more now? Where do I start?" Which is why the goal mapping thing is really, really fantastic, because it makes sense. It's the way our brain works. It works alongside the mind. So this is how you get yourself into a place of achieving. But as you say, it's a really drastic problem. So.
It is shocking, and I think even James said yesterday we haven't got the answer.
84 a week.
84 a week.
Wow, man, that's not good, is it? I didn't even know those statistics.
Yeah, go and check out the Calm.
There's an app called Calm? Is that from?
No, that's different. So the Calm app, which is the nice meditative storytelling piece. The campaign against living miserably. I think it's calmzone.net actually is the site, but check it out, and they are making a massive dent in the mental health space. 12 years old, but some big impact. But again, he says, I haven't got the answers. I don't know what it is we need to do. I just know that right now we're doing some things right.
Yeah.
And at least getting people having the conversation. But how do we get people educated around almost mechanisms for them to make different choices, mechanisms, almost some restraint mechanisms for them to be able to, spot signs in advance and deal with it in advance, not just deal with it in that moment where the pain is at its most severe and the only option left is to take their own life.
It's problematic because look, if you create the awareness initially, right, you're going to start a process in your mind, right? Like, I don't know, there's a tool I used to use a long time ago in the field, the drug and alcohol field, called the cycle of change. And it's an old wheel of change, which, people go through. And I like it because it makes sense. And so what happens is if you start a thinking process by putting something, a seed, let's say planting a seed for want of a better explanation. So you plant the seed, and what happens then is whatever the behavior or the behavior, whatever the behavior is it's happening, once you plant that seed, that behavior changes maybe minutely, but there's a lot of other factors. The other factors are that what am I able to achieve within my life and what's going on for me? What am I personally be able to do about this? Yeah. But what happens is once you start this behavior change by the seed, by planting the seed, or you start the wheel of in your head, because then it doesn't become, it's called pre-contemplation and it's called contemplation, right? So pre-contemplation, you're not aware of any problems, you're just doing what you're doing and it's not affecting you in any way. So maybe, I'm not saying this for people who have, but generally, especially with making behavioral changes or thinking changes, you go from pre-contemplation into contemplation, which is when you're thinking about it, you think something's happened, you think, oh, right, so I have to think about this. So you never have a experience again without a thought saying, am I doing this right? Because before pre-contemplation, you weren't thinking about anything. You were just doing it, not thinking. Now you're thinking. So you have to have either an option. Maybe it's not right the way you're feeling about it, but you do have a thinking process. So there's going to be it's the little inner critic or whatever you want to call it. Shall we do this? Do we want to do this? Don't we do this? And you have to make, at least you have an option. Whether you decide to do whatever you do, that's entirely up to you still. But you start the process. And the thing about that, once you start the process, you never go back to before. It will never be back to like without thinking. You understand what I mean?
So, it's kind of like not going through life on autopilot, is it? And running
habits. But these taught behaviours, or these picked up learned behaviours, which humans do, because you can change. They say change a behaviour in 30 days, a habit in 30 days, and pretty much if you do something for 30 days, you will have it's different for everyone, but you would have pretty much put something new, albeit not the whole way through, but 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of it would be changing. And, so I personally think 3 months is a great time to give yourself to change something.
Yeah, we tend to work on 90-day cycles with all our clients because, I know the research is vast in terms of habit change, that some will say 30 days. Many of the studies say around kind of 65 to 75 days, but it's down to the individual, isn't it? But I think 90 days is quite a nice period of time if we're looking for people to embed something that is sustainable and almost unconsciously competent. We're looking, I'm sure, closer to the 90-day period.
I mean, look, again, it's another one. It's not written in stone. It does not one size fits all. It is entirely up to the individual. And for me, when I stopped doing what I was doing 22 years ago, I did it overnight, from astronomical amounts to nothing.
But what was the tipping point for that? What was the internal piece that flicked to go, this has to be different?
There was a number of factors. I think the fact that I was physically so unwell that the pain was, overwhelming every day. The fact that I knew I couldn't survive, let alone thrive, survive like this in this, in this state. And I think, I just came to a place of, this is not working for me. I'm not dying quick enough. I'm not, I'm not living like this any longer. I refuse to. I can't do it. And something went in my head and said, look, we're not doing this anymore. That's it. And I sort of, that was, I can't explain the other way. I sort of said to myself, sitting in the hospital again, that's it. I'm changing. I'm making whatever I'm changing this behaviour as of, next week, let's say. I mean, I couldn't go straight away, so I had the weekend in front of me. So on the Monday, I checked into the clinic, and that was, 96. And I honestly don't think I've ever looked back.
And so powerful when it comes from, when it's intrinsic, isn't it? And we see so much people wanting goals, but actually much of it's pushed extrinsically. So partners and family and friends and the media that pushes people to do things. And actually that tipping point is always about when the person makes the choice and it becomes a want rather than a should.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the want in you was so strong. And
I mean, look, have you heard about these demands? Shoulds, must, have tos. They're all not great for subconscious understanding, and they're actually not very forgiving for humans, because we make mistakes, and that's how we learn. So, I should have gone to the gym. All right, well, I didn't. So you're just going to sit there and either beat yourself up because you say you should have done. You had the decision to make when you wanted to make it. You chose not to. So there you go. There's your decision. That's not I should or I must. If it's a must, then you will do it. And, hopefully you're able to do your musts as often as you can. Have tos, again, really, well, yes, maybe I have to go to, but it should be a want, shouldn't it? I want to go, or I want to be part of this, whatever it is.
We talk a lot in all of our programs about, when we model people that achieve extraordinary stuff in life, actually that one piece is that, and that emotional connection to the outcome is so important. And I think what I see a lot with individual people that I work with and organizations actually is that they will often fall in love with the results, and they'll fall in love with the idea of the victory and that end point, but they don't fall in love with the process. And actually you have to fall in love with the process as much as you do the results, because the process brings the pain. And if we're not prepared to love that bit, then actually we're going to fall off track really quickly.
You need to, this is again what I've learned more recently. You have to have a purpose. It has to be valuable to you. And the purpose is you're achieving something. And yeah, you're right. The guy, Simon Sinek, who I've heard this. I mean, I've heard it before when I did a training course for smart recovery. I'm a smart recovery trainer, by the way. So what you do, they show you a mountain and they say, what often people see is the top of the mountain, they don't see the mountain. And then it's the mountain you got to climb to get to the top. It's not like you're going to fly up there on a hot air balloon or whatever helicopter. You actually you start at base camp and you make your way, learning how to negotiate or navigate various sections of the mountain, and eventually you'll get to the summit. And the journey is then valuable, purposeful. It's like you just can't go to the top of the mountain. And, albeit it'd be a lovely thing to do, but then you've missed out on the whole experience of getting to the mountain.
Yeah.
So I think experientially, this is what has become, it's become, quite good for me recently. What's been happening over the last year is I've been experiencing stuff which I probably never did before, if I was honest, on a different level,
Like what? Tell me what you mean.
Well, I mean, I experienced life. I was still treading water, although I was no longer involved in the substances, but I was still treading water and still not achieving my full potential, achieving my best for me. But I suppose the Tony Robbins event opened my eyes. The people I've met since are really have inspired me. The people I'm working with on Happy Days are incredible. The speakers I've met, one of my coaches or a friend of mine is called Carl, who runs the Yes Group. Carl was in the club scene with me 30 years ago. He gave me my first job in one of the clubs he was running, believe it or not. So we had a lot of history. So he's been very influential lately. And Alan Kleinans, who's an incredible speaker as well. He's very close to us now. Neil Reed, Michelle Allen, these people who I'm working with on Happy Days, we all have these incredible stories which we talk about. to each other, and we share. So it's experience. It's an experience of life, and experiences on a human level, how you can change and how you can think differently and feel better generally on a daily basis, just by changing some very, very small but fundamental things you do, your routine, your stuff. And I'm not saying everyone says this, do your routine, but you've got to find something you want to do. You've got to find something that's good for you and suits you, does your whatever it works for in the morning. That's what you have to do. I mean, there's a lot of standard stuff. We all know that, meditation, mindfulness, and but whatever makes you feel good and whatever you're thinking. I mean, I have this other tool actually, but when you wake up, you do a check-in. You actually see, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I feeling spiritually? How am I feeling emotionally? How am I feeling, mentally, physically? And you ask those questions, not like a body scan. You actually think about how you're thinking. And if it's not correct, then change it. Or don't change it, but then don't beat yourself up if you want to stay in that state for a period of time, Often there's days when we do have down days, or, you're allowed to have them because you won't experience, great days after.
And do you do your check-in at the end of the day? Do you check in about whether you move the needle on any of those?
Do I check in the end of the day? Yeah, sometimes I check in the end of the day. I think it's the morning ones, but generally, you've checked in the morning and you've had a fairly achievable day, whatever you've managed to do within that day, whether it's good or bad. You might leave something for the next day, but generally you've sort of achieved some of your tasks. So I suppose you have a calm down, not necessarily a check-in, maybe a check-out, let's say. So you check out the day, seeing what you've done, be grateful, do a few gratitudes at the end of the day. And, you calm down normally and have a lovely chill.
So are you a consistent gratitude journaler, whether you journal it or whether you just...
I am now. I just find it... I never was, but recently with Carla's app, you're going to do a Facebook Live with, I found it so easy to do. I'm not a great writer. I've got good writing, don't get me wrong, and I'm quite arty. I can good draw well, but I don't know if I just find my writing gets messy when I write. I'm always in a rush. I don't calm down and write. It's like so what I do is with the gratitude, I'm able to take time for some reason. Something that works for me. So I do that every morning. And as I'm writing it, I can feel myself changing. I can feel the gratitude coming up. As each one I write, each gratitude I write, it lifts me onto a different level. So if I could be feeling bad, not bad, just feeling however you feel in the morning. The thing about it is, it changes when you write your gratitude list, regardless. And I think if you, as I say, you do it for 90 days or longer, you just live on a general different level.
I know you've talked a lot in the past about the masks you used to wear in your career and when you were in the public eye. And so how did you go about removing some of those? How do you know you're not still wearing them now? Or wearing different? Because we hear a lot about authenticity and people being speaking their truth. And
I don't wear the masks anymore because when I used to wear the mask, especially caught up in that whole world, there was a lot of lies, a lot of lying to myself, a lot of lying to my friend, my family, all that stuff about what I was getting up to. You'd never tell them the truth because apart from not believing you, it would be like, why? What's going on? Blah blah blah. So I've changed. I don't have the desire to do the same things. I love my music. I'm passionate about it again. Excuse me. Real life. There you go.
Yeah, always better out than in.
I always say that. I advocate for that. So look, that came to me in one of the seminars. That's what had actually happened. I wasn't aware of it, but I knew that who I was then wasn't. Look, he was fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not totally different, but there was a time when I actually wasn't. I didn't want to be in that all the time because it was dangerous, and I remember thinking, Christ, I've got to stop and take some time out at some point here. So I realised more recently that that's what I was doing with a mask, and it's good to, people have them for various situations. I think we still live with them, I mean, you have to adapt. I don't think you can be, I'm brutally honest. You can be semi-honest, I think. I don't think it's always, valuable to be completely honest all the time. I mean, yes, it is, but sometimes it's
you're working this out as you go along. You're working this out as you go along.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I don't believe I wear these masks anymore. This is what I am, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with who I am. But again, the masks serve a purpose. They help you out at certain points in your life. And, if that's the case, then good. As long as they're used for the right reasons, as long as you're not hiding your true self and being honest with your true self and being and loving your true self. I think you've got to realize who you are, nurture yourself, nurture your inner child, nurture your health, and then you can help nurture other people. I think you've got to be able to do that,
And you talked then about happiness and nurturing others. And I know you spent a lot of time in the last 10 years helping people that are going through dealing with their own stuff. And that's led you to your Brandon Block's Happy Days.
Yes.
So it'd be great to hear a bit about that and what the mission is and what the purpose is and what you wanted to, the impact you wanted to leave on the planet.
It's quite strange, actually. I was in the gym and I met my friend Neil Reed, who has an incredible story as well, and he's been on a very, a massive journey. Which we were just talking, and we was talking about all sorts of stuff. Really, I just thought, Christ, there's so much we have in common here about where we're heading and what we want to achieve, and how we want to develop ourselves and how we want to help people. So we sat around the house, we talked for a few days, we just went through a lot of stuff that's gone on for us in our lives. And it was so, it's like, it's a sort of, when you work with people, right, who have issues, it's sort of self-therapy as well.
For sure.
You're working with whatever's going, not all the time, but you will find yourself getting emotionally involved because if you have an empathy, you'll understand, or you'll have an empathy, not necessarily understand their situation, but you will have a feeling of how they may be feeling. So I think you have the empathy and you work yourself, and this is what we found out that that's what I found out that over the last 6-7 years doing it, I have an incredible understanding of why people do that stuff, why they are unable to see why they do it, why it's not apparent to them that these thought processes can be changed, and if you're aware of it, you can then make the difference and stop the behaviour. So I think we were discussing all this stuff, myself and Neil, and I had an idea of doing a program online to help with some of the tools I've used, right, in the past, transfer into normal life.
Yeah.
Very easily. They're like, it's not unique. It's basically just adapting them for different places. They're not like specifically for that type of work. They can use, and they're tools. They're just valuable tools, and they're very simple and they're easy to understand. So I was looking at writing a program for tools and I suppose recovery based, not really recovery from anything, behavioural change. Just make those changes.
Yeah.
And by changing your thinking and be aware of how you're thinking, you can do this stuff. So, and then in the meantime, I did my goal mapping with Brian, the goal mapping practitioners course, which opened another load of doors of thinking. And, I thought, oh my God, this is just so cool. And myself and Neil spoke more, and then Michelle was introduced to us, and Michelle's got some fantastic stories as well. And we all sat around and thought, oh, wow, this is just great. And then we started doing Facebook Lives and just putting some stuff out there saying, we saw people, you've seen some stuff people write, and people just want to hear some good stuff in the morning. It's not, affirmations and all that. I mean, you see them elsewhere, but if you you actually put them in a place where, you know, people can add their own stuff, which is what Happy Days is. And, you know, people post every morning, great, lovely, cool, you know, affirmations and posts, and, you know, and I think the general community stuff, which is it's creating, people love. And I know it's, you know, you look on there in the morning and because like there's like this guy again on YouTube was saying about, you know, people look at the likes, look at the how many times you look at, like, how many likes have I got? And I thought, oh my God, we've all done it. I don't want to be doing that anymore. I don't want to be thinking that, which makes me feel good. If you put something out that makes you feel good, which is good, then fine. It's all right. It's the way the word works, and it's not grandiose. It's just the way it is. See, grandiose, that's a thinking error. They call that a thinking error. There's one of them. There's a list of them, and I'm going to go through them on one of my webinars, you know, which we plan to do. So Happy Days is about just, you know, obviously people are going to use Facebook. They use it a lot. So instead of logging on to the first thing which may set you on a negative part for the day, log on to that Happy Days. There'll be something posted, or there'll be yesterday's post, or something be nice to be up there because we're up quite early, and you can, that will start your day differently.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the idea. And then obviously we're going to, down the line, we're going to do some online content. We're going to do our seminars and stuff, which we've unfortunately done some filming. We've got to reschedule the one we're going to do at the end of the month, which is not a problem. Gives us some anyway. So we've got another one, and we're planning that slightly later on. That's all. But you know, I just find that it was organic the way it grew. Brandon Block's Happy Days. You know, I found myself being on a different level every day now. Do you know?
Good for you. That's the only bit you're in control of, right? Is your stuff. And if you can influence and push stuff out to others and help them make a different choice for themselves about their own mood and their own state and how they navigate the day, then that's.
I mean, I don't see, control for me is a word that is, again, not fair on humans. You know, that's that. If you have to control something, you're obviously thinking about it. Does that make sense? You have to think about to be in control. You have to, if you just do it without thinking about it, like they say, and then you're just living as opposed to controlling. You're living a balanced life as opposed to having to control something, which means, all right, I get control of the car. Yes, because if you don't control the car, it will go out of control. So I just find that thing, I'm in control. It means I'm thinking about it. As long as you can think about it and it doesn't affect you, and it's just it becomes a normal, like a change of behavior, then you are living a balanced life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if the behaviors that you're wanting and you're running habits and patterns in your life that are giving you what you want and are good for others too, then that's great. And when we're in a place of working with people that need to let go of habits that actually are toxic in their life or in other people's lives, actually there is that bit of thinking piece and that almost real conscious decision about what do I control and what do I not control. And you know, I see tons of people, and especially in organizations, that get really confused between control and influence. And there's a ton of things that they influence which actually they have no control over, but still attempt to bring it into their control. And actually, if we bring things within what we believe are within our realm of control that actually are not ours to fix, that are not ours to own, we do ourselves over and we get in our own way every time.
Yeah, that's what's becoming apparent to me. You know, that whole I can control it. Why would you want to? You know, why would you need to control it? You know, it being whatever, as opposed to just having a balance and not having to control it and just living with it or without, or if you live with it without it, whatever, or you know, whatever way you have to do it, it would be better to just be. You know, as you say, get in your own way. You do get in your own way. It's like constantly analysing.
Yeah, always. I'm aware of time. I know we've got to 8:40 already. I don't know. I'm sure it's only been 5 minutes. I'm sure the clock's wrong. With all your life experience and all your wisdom and where you are now and Happy Day stuff and all the people you've met and all the things you've done, if you were, you know, the crowd that will be watching this, the tribe, the BTFI tribe, will be people that are big action takers, people that are resisting taking action, big thinkers but not taking action, people that want to do something different with their life. If you were, and a lot of creatives, if you were giving them just, you know, a piece of wisdom, a Brandon moment to go, this is the one thing, this is the game-changing piece, what would you offer up?
Well, look, for me, the game changer for me to actually realise that it wasn't a. I think the best thing I can suggest is for me, or what is to realise or learn. Okay, you're a creative thinker, so don't beat yourself up about not being articulate with something. Go for what you're able to adapt to quickly. And I think that the thing about the goal mapping thing is that it will work together. I think you find that if you adapt yourself to the creativity side or the articulate side, one or the other, you will then create this whatever you want to go for. But I think you just got to go for it and put it out there. Whatever you want to do or whatever you want to achieve, dream it. And if it's in your dreams, you write it down and map it, and then you can see it, and it becomes reality. There's a song that I use for my which we're going to use for various bits of my seminar. It's an old song, but we've remixed it recently because it's just such a lovely song. It's called "Make My Dreams a Reality."
Okay, don't know.
And it's by a band called GQ, and it's just a wonderful song. But it just says it all, doesn't it? Make my dreams a reality. So the one thing is, I suppose, just think differently. Think out the box. I don't know. Just don't be afraid to think. Don't be afraid to think and dream.
It's almost that, you know, it's almost the daring, isn't it, to take the action that will make the dream real, because we do have to take action to make things real, and I think it's the courage to do that. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, don't be afraid. Just try it. And you know, as they say, everyone says it now: failure is not a failure. Failure is a learning curve, and a failure is that's not working for me. Let's try something different. And within the creative industry, you know that, right? Because that's the success within a creative space is based upon multiple failures. It's often the rest of the world that struggles with that concept of actually we've got to get it wrong 100 times, 200 times, 1,000 times before we find the piece. Yes. And you know, you would have, and that's the thing what I mentioned with the options. You know, you've exhausted every option to the max of, you know, then you find the key. Once all those options are exhausted, you've then found the key or the right way to, you know. So that's how my options ladder works. And so good luck. Nice one, sir. We're going to pop. I can't see the feed at the moment through Zoom. I'm pretty sure Kelly will already have chucked the link in for Happy Days. If people want to track you down, where's the best place to track you down? Well, Happy Days, or I'm in Ibiza for every week now on Monday nights. I've got various gigs around the country. Just have a check out on Facebook, really. And obviously, we will be doing Facebook Lives regularly. Neil's on tomorrow night with Laura Bolton. She's a gut specialist, gut health nutritionist specialist. Yeah, so the impact of food on your thinking and everything. So that'll be a great one to watch. Yeah, nice. I'm going to be there for that. Bless you, sir. It's great to chat to you. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for having me on, mate. Sharing your story, loving all that you're doing with Happy Days and the dent that you're making on this planet of helping people just shift their own thinking, shift consciousness. It's a good work. So bless you. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks, Brandon. I'll catch you soon. Have a good night. Thank you, everyone else. Cheers for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday. We'll be back 8 o'clock. As normal. We've got another interview next week, but I'll tell you who that is at another point. For those of you that want to join the BTFI group, we'll also pop the link of that in there. Movers, shakers, action takers, all kinds of cool people that want to show up differently on the planet. So good night all. Brandon Block, thank you very much. Good night. See you, folks. See you later, mate. Bye.